I wish to address the nation today at a time when we are in one of the most delicate periods of the negotiations pertaining to our economic recovery program with the IMF as well as with the 483 commercial banks. We are at this moment not only trying to bring in new money amounting to about 1.6 billion pesos, but trying to get the loan of 650 million from the International Monetary Fund, and at the same time bringing about normalcy in trade financing so that the importers, either of raw materials or of other objects of trade who are based in the Philippines, will be able to then resume the old routine that was disturbed in 1983 because of the international loss of confidence among commercial banks and in developing countries. I refer especially to the plans and programs of some of those who do not see eye to eye with the administration to continue with the demonstrations and the rallies. The last that I have heard of is this Sunday rally or demonstration of businessmen and professionals, allegedly in support of the parliament of the streets, in support of those who wish to destabilize the government. May I say that the present negotiations for a recovery program is aimed principally at helping the businessmen and those who are high in the hierarchy of our society, and that certainly they would be working against their best interests if they now try and destabilize the government with such a demonstration. The questions that are being asked by some of the private bankers, as well as those whose duty it is to determine the country risk of any specific developing country, is the Republic of the Philippines stable, or is it so unstable that it cannot control its own citizens, it cannot enforce the law? And therefore, it has become necessary for our government to demonstrate occasionally that it can enforce the law, that it is stable, but that we have been tolerant to a point where we have allowed our citizens to be hurt and prejudiced, but not just our citizens, even the police and law officers, the military. Now, at this juncture, however, it may not be possible to be so tolerant anymore, because if we were to continue to allow this illegal rule of the mob in the streets, then our creditors would certainly deny us any support, and they would come to the conclusion that the government is unstable, is weak, incompetent, and unable to enforce the law. It is therefore necessary to clear before everybody the policy that will be followed by our government, the national government, the local government. The policy is, if there is a permit for any rally or demonstration, the rally or demonstration will be allowed. If there is no permit, the rally or demonstration will not be permitted to go through, and we may be compelled to make arrests of leaders as well as followers. Now, this is not anything that we find palatable. It is repugnant to everything in me, my training, as well as my belief, as well as the environment in which I grew up, the environment of continued conflict of thought. I am certainly for freedom of assembly and freedom of speech, I am ready to listen to anyone who has anything to say about this administration, good or bad. And I have done so in the past. But today, it will now be necessary for the government to prove that it is capable of enforcing the law. And therefore, we must do the unpalatable. We do not want to arrest or to hurt people. No, on the contrary, we want to protect them. And therefore, we are saying ahead of time that if there is any rally by anyone, whether professional or businessman or ordinary citizen, we will have to enforce the law. It is my hope that there will be no confrontation. It is my hope that there will be no need to enforce the law by arresting some of my businessmen and professional friends. And this I tell to them rather early so that we can both take precaution against the possibility of such a confrontation. And now may I proceed to another subject which also I find unpleasant. This is the subject of the separation of church and state. Of late, we have heard the good Jaime Cardinal Sin, the highest prelate of our church, the church to which I belong, come out with statements here as well as abroad, trying to destabilize our government. In the last elections, he participated actively. In fact, he directly or indirectly supported political candidates, as well as supported political factions and parties. We have let this pass, but lately he has come out openly encouraging all citizens to participate in the Parliament of the Streets. The Parliament of the Streets has always been violent, irrespective of all our precautions, irrespective of the promises of the leaders, irrespective of the slow reaction by the police and the cautious attitude of the military. There has always been violence. So when you encourage participation in the Parliament of the Streets, you encourage violence. This I would like to call the attention of the Cardinal too. And therefore, I am now called upon as President to perform a job which is a part of my sworn duty. For I took an oath to the effect that I will execute all laws. The Constitution is a part of the law of the land. In fact, it is the foundation, the fundamental law of the land. And the Constitution provides that the church and state shall be, the separation of the church and state shall be inviolate. No other constitution uses the word inviolate. Notwithstanding the fact that in the American federal constitution, the separation of church and state is only implied in some of the words of that constitution, the American federal government has been very meticulous in enforcing the separation of the church and state. May I call attention respectfully to may I respectfully call the attention of Cardinal Jaime Sin to the fact that he has violated this particular provision of the Constitution, and it is now my duty to call his attention to it. I do not wish to disagree with the Cardinal, but I have a duty to perform. I cannot abdicate such a duty. My attention has been called to the fact that his words tend to fan the flames of rebellion. And fanning the flames of rebellion, it means that he would encourage killing, perhaps rebellion in the sense that it would be bloody and violent. I am certain that the good Cardinal may not wish to do so, but his words do imply that he has deliberately taken this position. May I plead to him to help us return to sobriety. Let us all return to sobriety. Let us not wreck our country. Let us not destroy it by bringing about rebellion. The last time that the religious took over power in the state, our history shows, we had the 1896 revolution. I am certain that all of us do not wish such an event to be repeated. I ask the good Cardinal to help us prevent the repetition of such a period in our history. May I repeat, I perform a task which is unpleasant. I perform a task which I do not want, but a task that I cannot abdicate. And that is to call attention to the fact that the Constitution is being violated openly, and that now we should all try and bring about peace and sobriety in our country, especially since we are in a delicate period in the negotiations with the 483 banks as well as with the IMF for the economic recovery of our country. I repeat, I appeal to everyone, especially to the good Cardinal, to help us bring about economic recovery and prevent any bloody uprisings from current and contemporary events. Thank you very much.